They just wouldn't listen to Fred Gwynn. Is that sometimes dead is better. Guys, how is everybody doing? Continuing on my Pet Cemetery review series. Yes, as recording this video, Pet Cemetery Bloodlines is on Paramount Plus. I'm a little busy, so I won't get time to watch it immediately. I might not watch it until, like, I don't know, late Saturday or Sunday, maybe, depending on my schedule and what I'm doing. I'm a little bit busy this weekend, so I might not watch it. But anyways, here are my thoughts on this weird, wacky, fucking roller coaster, Pet Cemetery 2. Of my positives on Pet Sematary 2 is Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown is a very strange person in this movie. And that's all I gotta say about him. Look, Clancy Brown is always known for his strange roles. I mean, he voices Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. What else are you gonna get from him in any fucking movie at this point? But he's very strange in this movie. He does the weirdest shit, and he's really into rabbit sex. What? And let me tell you this now, that is not the weirdest thing in this movie. Yeah, not a lie. Clancy Brown kind of into rabbit sex is not the weirdest thing in this movie. Clancy Brown, what's about the guy that you don't like? He's a terrific actor. He's also really fucking weird in almost every performance that he's in. And it's Clancy Brown. Positive is I did like that Larry Tambert. Is that what it was? Lambert. I was almost there, but I put T instead of an L. So Mary Lambert returning to direct. Mary Lambert is the person that directed the original Pet Cemetery, and in a way, it's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the director returned for its sequel with a complete tone shift, where I'll get into it more. And I do like seeing her return, and it's been a few years since I last watched this movie, so I didn't really remember anything that happened in it. All I remember is that what was the kid's name from T2 that plays him? I can forget his name. All I remembered that he was in it and Clancy Brown was in it. That's all I remembered. And then I found out the person who directed the first movie came back and directed this movie, and I did not remember that. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe this movie will be a little bit better, right? Moving on right on to my mixed elements is the soundtrack of this movie. Yeah, that's a weird thing to talk about. The soundtrack of this movie, it does have a killer soundtrack. I do like some of the music in it. Some of it is very catchy, some of it is memorable, some of it is fun. But there's moments in this movie to where it's like, what is the song choice of this fucking movie to where it's like, why is this the song for this scene to where it's basically playing like a weird country song during like a chase scene of a horror movie? It's that weird and it's very misplaced. It's like, what is the song choice? Who thought that was a good idea? But I will admit, some of the music in it does fit, some of the music does work, but sometimes it's just like, who came up with that? Moving right on to my negatives, I don't think that the tone shift of this movie really works to where Pet Cemetery was a very serious, dark, serious horror film to where it was a very serious horror film to where it really could scare you, but instead they tone shifted it to where it was like a wacky goofball comedy film that basically has a lot of weird random shit in it to where it's just like, how is this a sequel to Pet Cemetery? Like I said when I said Mary Lambert returning to direct, it was kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre situation where Toby Hooper directed the first and second Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies to where they both had tone shifts. But to me, it works better with Texas Chainsaw Massacre because that original film, which I'll have a card up here hopefully too, so you can watch my very, very long video on that fucking movie. And then he did a complete tone shift and made part two an absolute just comedy, a dark comedy. But to me, it worked better there because you can't capture that gritty realism of the first movie. But to me, you could do that with the original Pet Cemetery. You could do something with that, but they just completely made it a higher comedy to where it just didn't work for me. The thing that this movie doesn't really have much going on. Some of the stuff is just kind of like just filler to where random shit is just going on to where, oh, my dog got shot. We're gonna sit here and chew gum for like 5 minutes straight. Like no joke. They bury this guy's dog at the pet cemetery, and then they're just sitting there chewing gum for like 5 minutes, going, and not saying a word to each other. They're just looking down at the grave going, it's like, you say something, please? Where they're not saying anything, it's just them sitting there doing fucking fuck all, I guess. I did not care for any of these characters. None of these characters I cared for. None of them were interesting. None of them were worth mentioning. None of them are worth remembering. None of them I cared for, especially like the main character of this movie who lost their mom. He's a fucking weirdo throughout the entire movie. Like his smile's just like, this is as big as I could smile. To where like he resurrects his mom, his dead mom by that cemetery, and then he's just like, "Come give me a hug, son." And he goes, "I'm not lying. It's fucking weird." I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was supposed to be creeped out and fucking ballsing out laughing, so I balls out laughing. Clancy Brown's character was pretty unlikable to where that was kind of surprising. I love Clancy Brown. He's a terrific actor. You think he would be a highlight of the movie? I mean, he is kind of for how wacky and fucking batshit crazy he is, but character-wise, he's an absolute prick. Well, guys, this is a bit shorter review because there isn't really much to talk about Pet Cemetery 2, but excuse me, I did not hate this movie, but I also just did not like it. It does a tone shift that does not work for me, and I feel it won't work for a lot of Pet Cemetery fans. But maybe there is. I have seen defenders on this movie, and I get it, but it just wasn't for me. But if you love the first Pet Cemetery and you are a Pet Cemetery fanatic and you want to see how the story continues, maybe don't watch this movie. But if you're a Pet Cemetery fanatic, maybe check this movie out. If you want to see Pet Cemetery is basically a weird goofball horror film, maybe this one will work for you. But all in all, I would just say just go ahead and skip this one. What do you guys think about Pet Cemetery 2? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like Pet Cemetery 2? Do you not like it? Do you prefer it over the first movie? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you loved it, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.